All right, here we go. And the bread represented the body of Christ that was brutally tortured and then hanged on Calvary's cross. Matthew 26:26. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. What the cup and bread represented should have been sacred to the Corinthians, right? However, they reduced such an intimate partaking to nothingness. That's basically what they did. They reduced the body and the blood of the Lord to nothingness when they observed idol worship. When they worshiped idols, they reduced the shedding of the blood and the breaking of the body to nothing. When they observed idol worship, the apostle enters into a brief discussion of the Lord's Supper to be here used as an illustration of both a likeness and a difference. In partaking of a worship service, one is in communion with the object of his worship. This is true of Christian worship and idol worship. In the observance of the Lord's Supper, Christians are communing with Jesus Christ. Those in Corinth who were involved in idol worship were involved with demons. And so, to participate in idol worship, which obviously, if they were members at Corinth, they were also going to partake of the Lord's Supper too. So do you recall that in the Old Testament at times, worshiping the false god Moloch, and remember what one aspect of worship to him was? Anybody remember? Yeah, offering their children. Burning their children. Offering their children a burnt sacrifice to Moloch. You know what they would do the very same day? Offer a sacrifice to Jehovah in the temple. The same day sometimes. And didn't see anything wrong with it. Like what? They were like, what? Oh, what's wrong? What's the matter? They didn't see anything wrong with it. And so this is probably similar to what's happening in Corinth. Those Gentile converts who are now Christians are now with the Jewish converts, and they are probably, participating in idol worship, breaking themselves, learning, right, coming out of that worship, and then also partaking of the Lord's Supper. And Paul's like, man, listen, when you do that, you are taking the Lord's shed blood and his broken body, and you're turning it into nothing, because you are giving importance to the worship of this idol, which idols are what? What did Paul say idols were? Nothing. So what you're doing is turning the Lord's Supper into nothingness. Go ahead, Winston.
It brings new meaning to being sincerely wrong.
Yeah.
And be very sincere about what we believe. Even today, you have people that are very committed to what they believe.
Yeah.
But it's completely against the
What
Word of God.
do they say about the road to hell? It's paved with good intentions. Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. For we being many are one bread and one body, for we are all partakers of that one bread. Verse number 17, we got like 2 minutes. The term we illustrates the corporate observing of the Lord's Supper. This was a corporate, we do this together, we observe this together. The term we illustrates the corporate observing of the Lord's Supper. We gather as a congregation in unity, that is, in unity to give thanks for and participate in this memorial feast. That's what we do. That's what Paul said. For we being many are one bread and one body, for we are all partakers. All right, we do this together. This is not an individualized thing. We do this. We are the body. Right? We partake of the memorial feast. Let's see if we can get through 18. Let's get through 18. Let's close up after 18. Behold, Israel after the flesh are not they which eat of the sacrifices. Behold, Israel after the flesh are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar? So referring again to Israel's history, under the Levitical priesthood, the priests and those who had provided the sacrifice to be offered by the priests, they were allowed to partake of the sacrifice. Leviticus chapter 7, verses 15 through 21. Deuteronomy 12, 5 through 7. In this, so Paul illustrates this, In this, the priest and the one offering, the one who had provided the sacrifice for the priest to offer, because remember, you had to bring your own sacrifice. You had to offer your own sacrifice. You brought it to the priest. They had mandates on what it was supposed to be for whichever offering, without blemish, without spot, right? I mean, you brought this to the priest and they offered it on your behalf. The priests were allowed to eat of it. They were allowed to partake of anything that was given in the altar because that's all they did, right? That's all they did. That's how they ate. That's how they took care of life. And so in this, the priest and the one offering had fellowship with the altar, which represented fellowship with Jehovah. As Jackson stated, thus to eat of the sacrifices from the altar, in a sense, was to commune with God. Let's pick up right here. Let's start back here, verses 19 and 20. When we come back together, if it be the Lord's will, we'll consider ourselves dismissed. May God bless you and keep you as you seek to conform your will to his.